Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for watching that. What you just saw was your first look at a brand new app I'm planning to release this year in 2024 called Tourney Companion. Before we get into it, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Ramzi Zayed. I'm a longtime Smasher and software engineer. If you've been around the Smash scene for a while, since maybe the Brawler Smash 4 days, you may already know who I am. If you came in on the Ultimate time frame, it's far less likely that you do, but either way, I've been competing since 2010. Loved every minute of it. A huge passion of mine. But one thing that I've definitely kind of noticed as time went on is that there's sort of been a stagnation in a lot of the processes that we use for both competing uh, and running these tournaments. And so I made Tourney Companion with the aim to sort of bring the tournament experience for both players and TOs into the modern age. It's a project that's been several years in the making, and so very, very excited to finally be able to share this with you guys. Without further ado, we can get into a few of the features. We'll go through some of the slides in the trailer and give just maybe a little more detail on each of those features that we talked about. So, um, the first one is a great place to start with, and that is, um, when your matches get called, getting notifications straight to your phone as a player. And so, in the time that I've been competing in tournaments, almost 15 years now, it's kind of crazy to say. It's largely been the same. It's been pretty much a TO shouting player names into a megaphone, saying, "Hey, player A, player B to station two." And this causes all sorts of issues, right? Because uh, it forces competitors to have to be in the proximity of where the matches are getting called at all times, despite not really knowing when their match might be. So this can cause some like anxiety for players if they want to step out to run to the restroom, grab a quick bite to eat, go to the car to grab a controller, whatever it may be. Um, you can't really do it. You feel like you're locked to that exact location just to hear your match get called. This often results in, players missing their match getting called, or TOs having to scramble to find players, and maybe eventually even disqualify them if they can't track them down. And so we're hoping to alleviate that completely by having, notifications just sent directly to player devices through both push notifications and SMS, thus just giving players a ton more flexibility to step out of the venue and come back in when their match is called. Um, Hopefully a lot of peace of mind for both players and TOs, and so that's one that I'm definitely excited about. Speaking of who your next opponent is and getting matches called, another thing that Tourney Companion aims to do is just to help players be better prepared in bracket. And so one way that we're doing that is with opponent previews, right? So once you can see, who your next opponent is, we want to give players the ability to dive into that opponent, see what characters they use, what stages they like to pick, what they like to ban, how they place, all that right at their fingertips while they're waiting for their match to get called. Um, Again, the idea here is just to give players more tools to be prepared in bracket, and hopefully just raise the level of competition that way. Next thing, and this is really a huge one, is in-game processes being handled through the app. Again, if you've been to tournaments before, you probably know that the in-game processes are kind of some of the most cumbersome and often confusing parts of the modern tournament experience. With ever-changing stage lists and in-game menus that don't really line up with how we like to conduct our tournaments, it can be kind of a pain to get through some of these things, especially for newer players. And so, let me get into maybe some of the specific features that we're going to support here. Um, You'll see a little preview here of stage striking being handled directly on the phones, as well as character select. So a few things that this is going to help with is blind picking, right? And so for the game one of a set, you often want picks to be blind so that people aren't incidentally or intentionally counterpicking one another. It's supposed to be a fair character pick. So, in practice, that's a little bit hard to do because the in-game menus don't really let you do that. So, if you want a true blind pick now, it often requires, calling over a third party and whispering, "Hey, I'm using Banjo," or whatever it may be. We can say goodbye to all that. blind picks will be done on the phones every single time, so you never have to worry about getting a fair blind pick again. Again, stage striking we showcased earlier, that's going to be done on the phone. One great thing is you'll have that stage list right here as you're striking your stages, so you never have to worry about what the stage list is at this tournament again. Same apply for bans and counter picks. It'll all be right there in front of you. Another cool thing is that you'll actually report match results directly on your phone as well. And so those will be reported directly to the Start GG bracket. You'll no longer have to kind of track down the TO after you play and try to report your result that way. It'll be a completely separate, independent process directly through the app. And so once you do report those results, they will get sent straight to Start GG, complete with character data, which is a really cool one because one thing that's a big problem now is that almost all the data, character picks, stage bans, stage strikes, etc., are all just completely lost to history. And so there's just a lot of potential for collecting some of this stage and character and stage data on a completely unprecedented level and allowing us to do some really, really cool things. That's one of the things I'm most excited about. Being able to really calculate out matchup percentages, what characters do best on what stages, what characters like to ban or strike certain stages, how far you are in bracket affecting certain matchup results or character performance. All those things, given the data that we will be able to collect through Tourney Companion, we'll be able to do some super, super cool things with it. So stay tuned for that. And then as soon as those matches do get reported, you'll be able to view the recaps in Tourney Companion, complete with scores, character picks, stages, etc. So it'll all be right here directly on your phone. And so the next thing I want to show is the TO side of things, right? So it's two sides to the experience, tournament organizer as well as players. And so the TOs get some pretty cool things they get to do too. One thing that we touched on earlier is the stage list, right? And so TOs will actually be able to fully customize their rule set for each tournament by setting starter stages, counterpick stages like you're seeing here, as well as even being able to set like how many bans players have, if there's a stage clause, whether it be like DSR, modified DSR, etc. And one thing that we're planning to eventually support as well is the TO being able to select whether it's like a character first selection process or a stage first selection process. So all those things will be fully customizable at the TO's discretion. And whatever the TO sets for the tournament will be pushed to player devices and will be enforced as part of those stage and character selection processes. And the next thing, which is really big, is we want to give a centralized place for TOs to call their matches and track the status of matches. So this is one that I'm pretty excited about. You'll see here the TO kind of setting stations for each match and then calling them, and then instantly getting this live status view of each of the matches that are in flight. And so you can see that we're able to see the current status of each match as well as the score. And this score will actually get live updated throughout this set as players are playing and reporting their results. So that'll give TOs kind of an indicator of how close to completion each set might be. And if one's been stuck in the same status for a while, that'll kind of be a cue for the TO to maybe go check in. Planning to expand on some of the information here as well to give the TOs all the tools they need to make the best decisions and run their tournaments as efficiently as possible. We're going to give as much power as we can to the TO, take away some of the monotonous stuff so they can focus on what they do best. So let's move on here. Again, many more features coming soon. I'm so excited to share them all with you, but keep it to these ones for now before we get into our live demo. So transition over to that now. Okay, so now we're actually going to hop into a live demonstration of me using Tourney Companion from both the organizer and competitor side. On the left-hand side here, we'll see the admin panel, and this is what TOs are going to use to manage and configure their tournaments. And then on the right side, we see the mobile view. This is what competitors are going to use to kind of progress their way through the tournament. So first thing that we want to see is Well, how do we actually load an event into Tourney Companion? So I'm going to go to a Start GG event here and just grab my URL. And then I'm going to go to Add Tournament, plug my URL in, and I can go ahead and import it that way. So, okay, we've loaded our event in now. It's here, but we got to do a few more things before we can publicize it and make it ready for our competitors to enter. First thing we're going to do is set up our rule set. So you can see we have the opportunity to select starter stages, counter pick stages, as well as some ban settings here. So we could use a template here. So there's a global template, Tourney Companion recommended. I could apply that and it'll kind of auto-populate some stuff for me, which I could tweak and edit to my liking, or we could just do the whole thing from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and just set these stages. We'll go with a pretty standard starter list here. I'll do Battlefield, FD, Smashville, Stadium, and Town and City as our starters. And then I'm going to set a few more counter picks for games after game 1. And then for some stage ban settings, we can do maybe 2 bans. For stage clause, we can set either no stage clause, DSR, or modified DSR. And we'll go with modified DSR for this event. Okay, so I'm going to save my rule set. And now I need to set up my station pool. So, these are going to be the labels for the stations that we can actually call matches to. So we'll want these station names to kind of line up with what's actually labeled around the venue so that players know where to go when their matches are called to these stations. So let's say I had 3 stations in my venue and maybe 1 stream setup. I could set that up this way. Or if I, run my tournaments in the same venue every week, I could set up a template for that as well, so that I don't have to, do the same thing every single time I'm loading a tournament. So I'm just going to load in my template here, and then you can see it this way. We can again tweak, rename, remove stations that aren't there, but kind of have that base to start with, and then save it when we're finished. And so now, once we're actually ready to publicize the event, make it so that competitors can check in and start competing, we just click this launch button here. But for now, what we'll do is we're going to go back and kind of jump into a live tournament scenario that's already underway. We have a nice Ocarina of Time themed tournament going called Battle of the Sages. So we are going to take on the perspective of an entrant in this tournament. And we're going to be the guests of honor here amongst these Zelda stages competing in this tournament. So we'll log in as ourselves and see how we do. But before that, let's take a look at kind of the TO view here, right? So the TO has a few different things they can do on the live tournament view. They can look at the matches that are ready to be called. So we see we have a few over here. We can look at our in-progress matches and kind of track the status of those. We can see that there's live score updates coming in. Saria is up 1-0 against Malin. And there's another match in progress over here. We can see what the status is as well. So this one's in a blind character pick phase. We could also, if we want to, look at some of the already completed matches and see what the scores were round by round. We could tweak a rule set if we made a mistake earlier. We could also, let's say somebody has taken their setup home for the day, we can remove it from here so it's not in the station pool anymore. Quickly save that and get right back into action. So now let's take a look from the competitor side. So we're going to log in as ourselves using Start GG. Okay, so we are all logged in here. We're going to jump into our existing tournament. And we can see a few things right away. We see that there's some information about our next match, which has not yet been called, as well as a recap of the matches we've played so far. So we see that we've played 1 match so far, which was a 2-1 victory over Raru, the Sage of Light. Let's jump into here and get a few more details. We can see that we can see the stages that were picked for each game, and we can see that some counter picking clearly went on as characters changed. But eventually, looks like the Mario secured game 3 against Pikachu on Pokemon Stadium. So we get that view over here. We can see that it was best of 3. We can see what round it took place, the station that it took place on, and we can even jump into a Start GG view here and see what it looks like in the bracket itself. And right here we see that the results kind of mirror because Tourney Companion reports them directly to StarGG, complete with the character data that we collected. So that's pretty cool, but we're going to jump back over to the Tourney Companion view. Again, so we're playing Impa next, the Sage of Shadow here. Let's see if we can collect some information before that match gets called to maybe help us be more prepared for this upcoming match. So we're going to click on her profile. We can see that at this tournament, Impa has played both Sheik and Link, with a little bit more Sheik than Link, right? And we can also look into more details of the matches that Impa has played. So it looks like Impa won her first round against Rudo, the Sage of Water. So let's jump into there and see if we can get a little more information and pick out anything useful. So it looks like Impa started with Sheik, and looks like, interestingly, after losing game 2, Impa switched to Link on FD. So that might be a good thing to keep in mind for later. But I think it's time for this match to get called. So we'll jump back over to our organizer view here, and we'll see that the organizer has the opportunity to select from a list of stations. Some of them are already in use, so we want to make sure we use an available station here so that we can actually call the match. We're going to pick the stream setup for this one, and we can go ahead and call that, and we can see on my actual physical device here that a notification did come through. The match has been called against Impa on the stream setup. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually click that notification, and we see that's going to take me directly into character select for the match. So we're ready to get started here. Wanted to show the live notification working, but we're going to proceed with the rest of this match here on our on-screen simulated view. So now we see the match has been called, and it's been called with the stream setup, so we know where to go. We know that it's time to play now, and we're ready to get into this thing. So we are just going to jump over here, and we get to select a character. And so let's see. We know that Impa started with Sheik last time. We're pretty comfortable with the Joker Sheik matchup, so we're just going to go right in with the Joker. We see that Impa did select Sheik. So now it's time to strike stages. And the order for this is going to be random. This time it looks like Impa is striking first. So we're just going to go ahead and wait for those strikes to come through. She struck Town and City. We're going to strike FD and Stadium. And now Impa gets the last strike to decide which stage we're going to. So it looks like she struck Smashville, and we're starting on Battlefield. So now it's time to actually play this game. So now is when the two competitors would play it out, making the same selections that were made in the app, and report the results afterwards. So in this case, looks like Impa took game 1, unfortunately. So we're down, but not yet out. Let's see what stages Impa is going to ban. Okay, so now we've lost access to Smashville and Town and City, so we can pick from any of the remaining stages. I think we will go to Hollow Bastion for game 2. And now, since Impa won, Impa has to select a character first, and we'll be given the opportunity to actually counterpick our character. So it looks like it's going to be Sheik again. Joker didn't work out so well the first time, so let's try going with the Pokemon Trainer. So we just searched to kind of filter down the lists a little bit. So we want to use Pokemon Trainer this time and see if that goes a little bit better. And now we're going to wait and see who wins this game. So looks like this one went a little bit better. So we're reporting that we won, but it looks like Impa has mistakenly reported that she won the game. So we got a little notification that we have a conflicting report here. That'll give us the opportunity to re-report and correct our results. So this time she recorded properly, and now it's our turn to ban stages. We'll notice that Battlefield's already banned, and that's because of the DSR rule that's in place. Since Impa already won on Battlefield, we don't have to waste a ban on that stage. So now we can choose 2 more stages to ban on top of that. Well, we remember that Impa in her previous set, game 3, went to FD and picked Link. So since that's kind of a comfort counterpick for her, maybe we'll go ahead and knock off FD to see if we can dissuade that strategy. And then we'll also get rid of Pokemon Stadium. So now Impa is going to go ahead and counterpick a stage, and it looks like we are playing at Kalos. we will stick with the Pokemon Trainer since that worked great last time. And it looks like the link is still coming out. And fortunately, we were able to clutch up and take this game too. So we win the set, and we're now up 2-0. And we see that the set has now updated from in progress to complete over here. And the scores were updating for the TO to view the entire time. So the TO could have checked in on the status as it was going. And now we can see that it's actually been added to our match history as well. So if we click over here, we'll see that there's a full record of that set that we just played out, complete with all that information. And we can see that our next opponent, we don't quite know who it is yet because we're still waiting on some matches. And alternatively, we could peek over to Impa's view of the tournament here, and we see that Impa now shows a loss on her record against us. So that is kind of what an in-game match looks like, and now we're just waiting for our next match to be called. And again, we have all the comfort of stepping away, doing whatever it is we like, because when that match gets called, the notification will come straight to our phones. So back to this view over here. There's a few pieces of information that we have now, like we mentioned, the score, the status. There's a lot more things that we want to add over here to give the TO a really complete view of what's happening at each match of their event. We'll show character selections that have occurred. We'll show how long the match has been going so far, how long we've been at the current status, who has actually received and opened the notification, checked into the match. All these things will be available for the TO to see so that they can properly, view, manage the tournament as they'd like. So that's what we wanted to show for now. One thing I did want to call out as well, which I think will be pretty cool, is that once your run completes, because you've either been eliminated or hopefully you won the tournament, you'll be given the opportunity to tweet a graphic recap of your entrance at the tournament to your, followers on X, to all your friends and peers. So that will show, what characters you played, who you beat, who you lost to, and of course, what placing you got. That'll all be there in the graphic that you can tweet directly to X. So, thanks for watching that live demonstration, and I hope you're excited about getting your hands on Tourney Companion. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about today, how can you get your hands on Tourney Companion as a tournament organizer or player? And I'm excited to announce that we are going to be launching a closed beta for Tourney Companion this summer, 2024. And if you actually head over to tourneycompanion.com right now, TOs have the opportunity to enroll in the beta, and that way they'll be able to run tournaments on the Tourney Companion platform. So TOs, if you're interested at all, you know what to do. Head over to tourneycompanion.com. Players, if you're excited about this and you want to see Tourney Companion at the events that you attend, make sure to message your TOs, ping them on Discord, mention them on X, tweet at them, whatever you got to do. If you want to see Tourney Companion at your events, make sure to let your TOs know. Also, I'd encourage anybody, TOs or players, to join this mailing list over here. We're not going to flood you with this stuff, but when we have exciting announcements, you'll get them there directly to your inbox. We'll try to keep it minimal. But yeah, that's about all we have for today. Super, super excited to finally be able to announce this. I mean, this project is very, very special to me. My life is quite busy. I mean, besides working full time, I've got 3 young kids, all under 5. So my house is pretty much chaos, and I've had to, scrap together any time I can find to work on this over the past 3 years. And I'm kind of felt like it was never going to come to the day where I could announce it, but here we are, and I'm super excited. I've built every piece of this thing by myself from the ground up, and I'm really proud to say that. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am to get your hands on it and to hopefully revolutionize your tournament experience with Tourney Companion. Thank you so, so much for watching.